Welcome to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by today. An American was attacked by a Filipino taxi driver and took matters into his own hands. I've got Dr. Eric Terry here with us. He's going to tell his story. I've been coming here on and off, Eric, for 15 years. That's never happened to me. I've never heard of it happening, but kind of give a brief background of who you are so people don't think that you're some kind of bully that goes around starting fights.
Okay, cool. So again, my name is Dr. Eric Terry. I teach at several universities and colleges in the state of Florida, and have been doing that for a long period of time. As work, as I do work in the healthcare profession as well. I've been coming to the Philippines for about 3.5 years now. Especially in the summer months, I'm here for about 3 to 4 months, and then in December, I'm here for about 2 weeks. Traveled literally all over the world, been to 5 different continents. So I love traveling. But I really want to talk to you about this incident that happened to me because it's the first time it ever happened to me, and it took me by surprise. So my fiance and I ordered a taxi cab to take us to one of the malls to go shopping. To make a long story short, the taxi driver arrives. There's three of us. We ordered a four-seater. So he began to tell us that we could not sit up in the front seat, right? And I said, well, why not? I'm a big guy, and I like my room. So, if there's a seat that's not being occupied, there's nothing in it. Hey, let someone sit in it. So proceeded to say, "Hey, I'm not going to let you guys sit in the front seat." And he was telling the second girl that was with us. So I said, "Okay, fine, I'll sit in the front seat." So after I said that, he said, "No, you can't do that." And I know the rules in terms of Grab drivers that you can sit anywhere. The only difference is if you're a solo person, they do have a right to ask you not to sit in the front seat. But we had three of us, so we that didn't apply to us. So at this point, he started to get a little arrogant and start yelling and stuff. And at this point, our security guard from our building came out, and he was at the window, and he been basically saying, "Hey, what's going on? Let me, what's going on? Why are you having an issue?" He's speaking to the cab driver. So at that point, I said, "Look, let's just order another cab. We'll just move on." Right. And he says, "Well, that's my rule." And I goes, "Well, you know what? The rule is really stupid. Doesn't make a lot of sense." So he proceeded to tell me, "You do not assault me like that, or you do not use inflammatory, words towards me or anything like that." And he started getting close to me, and he started pointing his finger. But I mean, this guy was like getting red. His eyes are like popping out of his head. And I'm saying to myself in this instance, literally, is this guy going to hit me? I mean, literally, that crossed the first thing that crossed my mind. And he kept getting closer. He got real close, so I backed up a little bit just in case he threw a punch at me. And guess what? He threw the punch. He hit me in the nose, but luckily I pulled back and it didn't, make a good solid landing, and it didn't cause me any, no major pain. And honestly, Calvin, because I've taken a lot of self defense training in the past, before I can even think of it, I reacted. And my reaction was to grab his trachea. Literally, I took my right hand, grabbed his trachea. I took my left hand, grabbed his right arm. So, which is his strong arm. Most likely, most people their strong arm is their right hand. I knew for a fact that if I got his trachea and I applied enough pressure, two things was going to happen. A, I'm going to cut off his air. That means he won't be able to breathe. Okay, he become hypoxic. And then the second thing is blood flow to the brain starts to lessen, which means he's going out, and he's going to go out for a long period of time. So by that time, I grabbed him, I applied some pressure to him, and he's fighting back, and he's trying to grab my hand and stuff, and I'm just putting more pressure. I started hearing him trying to make some noises, and when he starts making those noises, that means they're exchanging air. I don't want that to happen, so I clamped on a little tighter. He starts becoming placid now. So he went from this being really angry guy fighting back to me. Now his eyes are popping out of his head, and he's just like starting to fall back in his chair and laying back. the security guard for my building goes, man, don't kill him, don't kill him, don't kill him. I'm like, I'm not killing him. I'm just going to let him go to sleep for a while. So at that point, when he became very placid, I let him go. I released the grip on his neck, and he was clearly out of it. I mean, he was just kind of laying there, right, in his driver's seat. So my fiance, she was freaked out. She was like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" And she's trying to pull me off of it, as well as the security guard. But I wasn't going to let go, because once he made that attack, I'm not sure what he was going to do next. Hence, that's why I
Mhm.
felt I had to neutralize him. So I got out of the cab calmly.
Yeah.
I walked to the side and I looked at him, and he was like, shaking his head, I guess, trying to gain his composure or whatever. And then he proceeded to go forward, but then he ran on the curb. Then I heard his door unlocked. So I just got in the pose. I'm like, all right, let's go. I go, because honestly, my second thought was, and I don't like to advocate violence, but my second thought was, if he came out of that car, he was going down for the count, and he would be hospitalized. I've already made that choice in my head, right?
Yeah.
So I guess he gained his composure, as I said, and then he drove off. All right. So there's two things I want to say to your viewers, because this is really important, and you have said this a lot of times, and you guys need to know this. When you go to a foreign country, understand we are visitors. All right. That's the first thing. Second thing is, make sure you understand the laws as best to your ability. Now, prior to this incident, I read the laws about, assault. If you get assaulted, what the Filipino law for foreigners say that you can do. And basically what it says is that, look, for whatever force is being used, you can basically use a similar level of force. Someone punches you in your nose, you can't shoot them. Doesn't work that way, right? And then it
Right.
also says that you cannot be the aggressor and then claim self defense. So, I already knew that coming in, and I think it's very important for your viewers to understand that too. And it doesn't matter whether they go to the Philippines or Thailand or to England, you should know what the laws say about this. So if you ever come into a situation where you're going to have to protect yourself or your loved ones, you're going to know, what are the boundaries that you're going to have to follow, because that's what they're going to use against you or for you in your favor.
Right. Let me
So
say
the
this. Let me say this. You're not
Sure.
a small guy, by the way, because
No.
we traveled to Thailand together. You're not in any way small. You work out all the time. Was this taxi driver? Was he big? What would make him strike you like that?
When we first got in the cab, I already saw that he was already on edge. I could see that he was upset about something. Maybe he had a bad day. I don't know. I really don't know. I just wanted to get from point A to point B, and that was it. Um, as we proceeded, his aggression became more aggressive, like in his
I mean,
tone,
was
his
he a
body
was he
language.
a big guy? Was he a big guy?
Yeah, he was a little bigger than I was. He's a little bit bigger than I was. Maybe not as muscular, but definitely as big.
Yeah.
And very arrogant, just very arrogant. And I honestly, I'm ready to pass that, by. I'm not going to let that, destroy my day. So I didn't pay it a lot of attention. It didn't become an issue, like I said, until he started approaching me, and he started pointing towards my face. And honestly, in that
Yeah.
split second, Calvin, I said, is this guy going to hit me? Like, is he going to hit me? And I thought to myself, he ain't going to hit me. There's no way this guy's going to take a swing at me. Boy, was I wrong. But I guess I tell you this, at some point, I'm sure when he started to pass out, he thought he was going to meet Jesus. He really did.
Yeah.
Because I can see the
Yeah.
fear in his face now, that he knew that he was out of place, and he couldn't do anything. He really couldn't do anything. And I got to be
Look,
honest, if it wasn't for my girlfriend and the security guard, I would have definitely put him to sleep. And he could have woke up a couple minutes later in his taxi cab. Seriously.
let me ask you something. People aren't expecting you to grab their trachea, are they?
No. So here's the thing. If you took self-defense courses, and I'm sure some of your viewers have known this, it's actually a very easy hole to get out of if you have taken self-defense. you know, but I knew that this guy probably never had any military training or anything like that, so I would be good with that, right? The other thing was I had his dominant hand, so I know that if I had his dominant hand, that becomes an issue because he's not going to be able to have full strength, right? The second thing is I know I only needed 15 to 20 seconds. 15 to 20 seconds of applying the correct pressure, people will generally pass out at that point. And the reason, and I know that we were at that point because he was very aggressive. He was flailing his hands. He's grabbing at me. I mean, his eyes are like popping out of his head. I mean, literally. And then he started becoming very relaxed.
Yeah.
Hands dropped down to his sides. So I knew I had him at that point, and I knew
it,
that the the
it
the
was then. It
attack
was
was
then that he knew that he had fucked up.
yeah,
It was at that moment when he knew he had fucked up, right?
yeah, exactly.
When he couldn't breathe.
Um, yeah, and here's the thing: if you've been training, like I said, in some type of self-defense, the worst thing you can do is panic in that situation, especially if someone got your trachea. Because I had his trachea, I can feel his carotid pulses pumping. I can feel it pumping, and I just applied more pressure because I knew it was going to happen. But he didn't obviously have that training, because had he had the training, I could think of several things he could have tried to do to me. But because the way we were sitting in a cab and our bodies were turned, he was not directly facing, to me. I actually had him from the side. So I had the advantage on him. Without a doubt, I had a good advantage on him.
Mhm.
And he couldn't get out of it. And by the time he
Yeah,
realized what he has done, it was too late.
yeah, it was too late. So you've been around the world. This is the first time that's ever happened to you. So I guess you're like the undefeated. Then you're like the undefeated champ of the Philippines.
Well, hey, I don't want to claim that. I'm just saying I think I would have done what any person would have done. Here, this is what I would like to let your viewers to know. I didn't know what this guy's position was. I don't know if he was a druggie. And let's be honest, there's a lot of problems with drugs in the Philippines. I didn't know if he was taking something. The only thing that I know that he attacked me, he was unprovoked, and I didn't know where that aggression was going to grow. And for myself, and for my self edification, from what I've been trained, is you neutralize people like that because you never know, and you never want to give them a second chance to make another attack on you. All right. So I had to make
Yeah.
that in a split
Now,
decision that I was going to neutralize him.
do you expect any type of repercussion? Do you expect any type of repercussion? Because they like to bring a case against you. They'll bring a case against you here for anything. Did you take the proper procedure? Did you file anything with Grab?
Yeah, so we filed a report immediately, literally within 2 minutes of it happening. We sent Grab a long letter, and I narrated, saying, "Hey, here's the step-by-step play what happened." Okay, I asked for an immediate response. I also gave them the contact information of security guard, our security guard, and by the way, it was on camera as well. So all of that information is there at their resource. Um, and I think this is important for your viewers to know too. My girlfriend position was, oh, let it go, let it go. And you're right, Calvin. What people don't understand is a lot of these individuals will take advantage of that, and they'll turn the tables around you and say, oh, you were the aggressor and you choked me, and who knows, they'll blow it out of proportion. So yeah, we filed a complaint with Grab. And we also asked them to respond within the next 24 hours. And I'm going to keep sending them a response because, and I don't know if we're going to go this far, is that we may take it to the authorities ourselves and just file a complaint against him to be proactive. Because in the Philippines, it is not uncommon for people to do that, when even though they were in the wrong.
Right. Absolutely. So if anybody's watching, you would say you can, self-defense is an option, but you've got to, what did you say? You got to attack them with the same type of force as they're attacking you. Is that what you're saying? So if he punches you, you can basically punch him back. Or
Exactly. So with the Filipino law, from my understanding, and again, I just want to qualify this, I'm not a Filipino attorney or law, but I read the law several times, and I actually read it again yesterday. It basically says is, look, you are allowed to defend yourself. A, you cannot be the aggressor. In other words, I cannot just start something and then 5 minutes later or a day later say, "Hey, you assaulted me." So you can't be the aggressor. B, you have to use a reasonable amount or the same level of force that's used against you, right? So the guy hit me in the face,
Hmm.
I grabbed his trach, I think that's reasonable. I didn't,
Yeah.
although I thought about it, like I literally did for it, like that split second says, I can hit him on the side of the eye. I know I'm going to break this bone here, part of his cranium, right? And more or less, what happens is once you break this, it's called evisceration. Your eye literally pops out of your socket. Okay, it creates a serious amount of pain. You're not able to see and stuff. And I thought about it, and I just decided, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to go and put him to sleep for a while, right? And the reason I did that seriously too, Calvin, was because I was in a closed environment. Had we been outside the taxi and that happened, it would have been a different story. He probably would have ended up with a broken leg or arm. I'm just being honest about that. All right. But because we're in a closed
Yeah.
quarters,
Yeah.
that's even why I use the chokehold. Just because I need to make sure that he could not get another hit off me. Because I already made that clear in my mind. You were not going to get a second punch on me. I mean, he was scratching and like grabbing my hands and stuff because he was trying to
I
get a
just
hold.
want to make a point. Yeah, I want to make a point here. This is for guys who are always, because you're just an unassuming guy. I mean, you're big, but you're a professional. You don't look like you're gonna cause any kind of problems. And guys may take that the wrong way, like you're a sissy or something, or you're soft. And this is what happens online. These keyboard warriors, they talk all this crazy stuff, and they may try to try you. I would say
Mhm.
don't do that, guys. You don't know who you're up against out here. People have self-defense training. Well, you're like a black belt or something, aren't you?
We're not going to talk about that. But yes, I
Okay.
want to be a
Yeah.
black belt. So, but
Yeah.
here's the thing.
I'm just saying, yeah.
No, but here's the other thing I would say too, and you've said this in several of your videos too, and I would just tell people who listening to your podcast and stuff is take this stuff to heart because you never know when you may be in that situation. Is try to walk away from it. I've been in situations in other countries where things got a little bad, went a little bit far to the left, and I walked away, and I'm the bigger man for it. Okay, because the bottom line is, even though you're in the right, you never want to put yourself in a situation where you have to defend yourself. So if you have an easy out, I would just say be the better man and take the easy out, right? That would be my philosophy and
Yeah.
my thought. But because we were in a taxi, okay, and I didn't know what this guy's attentions were, I had to neutralize him. Simple as that.
Yeah. It's safe to say that you gave your fiance a lot more confidence in you because Filipinos, they want to know if you can protect them. See, that's one thing that I try to get over to guys. So a lot of times, we're older guys coming over here with these young ladies, and they may get into something. They're gonna expect you to step in and be like the knight in shining armor to handle the situation. So now I guess she feels like a lot more safer.
I agree. She did mention to me last night that, hey, I never expected that. I never saw that part of you. And I goes, nor should you. That's used for when things get really bad or someone's attacking me. There's no other reason to use that or be in that position. And I told her, I goes, honestly, I'm not proud of what happened by no stretch of the imagination. So I don't want people to feel when they see this, oh, he's just very boastful because this happened. No, I'm not proud about it. What I'm saying is, if someone does attack you, you need to be prepared. And I don't care what country you're in. Some people may say, well, that's why you shouldn't go to the Philippines. I would say just the opposite. I would just say it doesn't matter if you're in your own home, city, state, whatever. You should have some level of self defense for yourself and your loved ones. That's just my position.
Yeah, and that's a great position to have. Well, I want to thank you, man, for coming on because I think this is very important. Because, like I said, I've been coming in here on and off for 15 years. I've never had anything like that happen, nor have I even heard of it. But he was the aggressor. He actually swung on you. A lot of these taxi drivers, they be on drugs and stuff, though, to
Hmm.
stay up, to keep on driving. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was coming down off something, but he messed with
I
the wrong guy today. I guess, when he was running out of breath, he knew this was the wrong guy to mess with.
Hey, as Judge Brown would say in the United States, you messed with the wrong one today. Seriously. So, and that was the truth, man, because I was not going to have it. Seriously, listen, the yelling and all that sort of stuff, the name
Yeah.
calling, I can care less about that, man. I tell you, because I would let that roll off my back, literally. But when you make physical contact in a threatening way, then the narrative changes. It changes immediately. And again, I'm going to make sure you don't hurt me. So just, and whatever that turns out to be,
Yeah.
it is
You
going to
you
be.
may you may have done every
Well,
black man a favor.
hey, what
That
I
taxi
hope,
driver's never gonna mess with another black man for the rest of his life. I know that's a fact.
yeah, honestly, I actually hope that's true. I hope it's true that he just learns, whether you're black, white, Asian, whatever. I'm not just going to put my hands on someone without without it being necessary or I'm being provoked. I think he probably learned the lesson. I told the other cab, I had another cab driver today, grab, and I told him the story. He was dying laughing. Man, you should have recorded that. Someone should have recorded it. He goes, you should have put that all over. And I goes, no, I think the guy learned his lesson. He goes, no. He goes,
Yeah,
I think you should go to the cops. And he goes, you know what? You should ask for restitution. He goes, tell a guy he has to sing to you happy birthday and dance, and then you'll drop the charges against him. So that's the way he said, if this ever
yeah,
gets to that point, I should ask.
yeah.
And I would be totally cool with that.
But but that's what. Yeah, I was telling you that you could have got a picture of his face when he was, his eyes bulging, he's trying to speak and everything. He would have been a meme forever. But thank you, Eric. I know you having some internet issues on that end. Thank y'all for stopping by. Thank you for your time. This is very important, guys. Protect yourself over here. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Stay out of trouble. I'll see y'all next time. Don't do anything stupid, like grab somebody's trach. Okay?